Ain't no telling. Ain't no telling. What's up, my dudes? Let's talk about these little whipskis in MXGP 2019, right? If you've seen any number of gameplay, you've probably seen this at this point. I know their actual, trailer gameplay of it, like from official Milestone and whatnot, doesn't actually show any of it. They don't even show it, kind of like they pretty much know how it is and they know how people are going to react to that. By the way, never rode on this track in my entire life, so I apologize. She looks pretty fucking gnarly, so yeah. We're going to have to hit all that at once, not wreck and then try to hit it. Okay, but basically, if you get to kind of scrounging around on YouTube a little bit, kind of looking at some of these different random videos and stuff, there's quite a few different gameplays of MXGP 2019 already, believe it or not. Like, there really is. It's not even official. It's just random-ass gameplay. There are some that do show the whip system. By the way, shout out to whatever dudeski hit me up on Steam and told me about a certain gameplay. He linked me to it, and I watched some gameplay that did actually show the whip scrub system. So shout out to him for sure. By the way, if you guys want to go add me up on Steam, my username is just Spencer Turley, no space, no capital. And I'll add you back up on there. My friends list is getting definitely almost filled up at this point on Steam. So just another quick little reminder, if you want to go add me on that, just do that. All one word, Spencer Turley. No capital letters, right? And I'll also automatically invite you into my Discord when you do that as well. So either way, you get all these little, when you get a little bit bigger on YouTube or whatever, you get quite a bit more knowledge than just like the standard dude, because you get a lot of people that will hit you up. And by the way, I appreciate all the messages and everything from people giving me info on stuff and, you know, telling me about certain videos or new things or whatever. I appreciate all that from all of the previous people that has done that for me in the past. I do definitely appreciate that from everybody. But yeah, so it was pretty much, I mean, let me just explain to you what the whip system was in that gameplay of MXGP 2019. Pretty much the same as it always has been in Milestone. In these Milestone games, like just about how every other thing is looking like in MXGP 2019, with the track designs and the no inside ruts and the no roughness and the super small motocross jumps and the flat tracking vibe and the, you know, all of that kind of stuff, the kind of standard ass Milestone physics in general. I mean, it all just looks the same. So would you really think that their whip system would be any different? No, it's not. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not. So don't get your hopes up to any degree for that, because it's not. It's not really any different. Pretty much the same little vibe like that right there, you know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is on all of their default motocross tracks, like their MXGP default tracks, what it's looking like to me from that early gameplay is they're all going to have super small jumps. So that was like one of the issues with MXGP Pro and some of these other games, not so much in the Supercross, because some of the custom tracks on the Supercross games had some massive ass jumps like what I just hit right there, right? But typically the default tracks in these Milestone games, they don't have any big jumps. So you can't even test out the shitty ass whip system to even see what the hell it's doing to begin with. And their freeride compounds don't have like cool ass 200-foot dune jumps, or, you know, like from the old school MX versus ATV days, or pretty much all of the MX versus ATV games have had that, even in a live, right? Well, I take that back. MX versus ATV Supercross didn't have anything like any of that. It just had Supercross tracks, right? That always works out real good in these games. You know what I'm saying? But basically, like, even the days of Alive, right? Some of those free ride tracks on that game are really badass. I mean, big jump. You guys remember that Desert Dune track with the two-stroke four-wheeler, secret four-wheeler on it? I gotta love that little double flip over. You guys know which one I can't remember the exact name of it. Is it like Devil's Playground or some shit? I may be thinking of the wrong track or whatever, but that one on Alive, it's got the big Desert Dune, beachy. It's got the beach side on it. Huge jumps on it, right? And then, of course, when you go back to the days of Unleashed and Untamed and Reflex, every one of those games' free ride tracks has massive jumps. I just got done playing some Unleashed, and some of those freaking free ride areas are insanity. Like, so big of a wall jump so big of like a mountain that you're hitting that it almost covers up your entire view. Like, that's how tall it is. Like, imagine right in front of me, if you could build up a wall of terrain that's so tall that it's like all the way up to the top of the screen. You know what I mean? When you hit it, like, you're not even seeing the top of the jump. It's so tall until you actually hit it and start going up it. Then you see the sky, you know? That's how a lot of those old MX versus ATV games are. But Milestone just misses out so much in that bigger jump aspect just to the standard default track designs of the game. So then, therefore, you can't even really test out the whip system to begin with, right? But obviously, they made some insanity gains from the time of when Supercross 2 first came out, right? You guys remember the absolute atrocity whip system this game had when it first came out. Then they updated it. It wasn't quite as bad. God, I need to start letting off right there. I keep hitting the same thing. You know, absolutely atrocious, right? And then they sped up that whip animation, right? So you could at least properly do it somewhat. But really, it just comes down to, I just think it's going to be more of the same than different, right? It's going to be more of that, like, MXGP Pro whip system. That's really what it looked like to me. It was more, literally just looked like MXGP Pro or Supercross 2. They're pretty similar, honestly, now that they've updated the Supercross 2 whips. Pretty similar whip system, which they're not that amazing. I mean, let me just be honest with you. Like, Milestone has always lacked in that whole side of free ride, freestyle, whip, big jump. I mean, that literally seems like that's one of these last things on Milestone's agenda when it comes to their games. Like, they just don't have hardly any of that. So I really, really hope they give us that option to I really hope they give us that option in MXGP 2019 where we can turn both our thumbsticks the same direction to whip. See, the tricky part about that is you can actually adjust that in Supercross 2, where you can technically make it to where it will actually do its normal whip when you turn both your thumbsticks the same direction instead of the opposite directions, like by default. They do have that setting in there, but the problem is that changes your steering in the corner. So then what happens is when you try to steer in the corner with both your thumbsticks the same direction, it does that weird ass, like it's trying to do a scrub on the ground in the corner. You know what I mean? Like that shit right there, you know? So, like, they do have the option to go in there and change, you know, like basically what you're doing is you're flipping the steering of your actual thumbstick. So then it makes it to where it'll feel like you can turn both your thumbsticks same direction to throw that whip like you would in Reflex, all these other motocross games, right? The standard for whipping in these motocross games. But then it jacks you in the cornering. So they need that option where you can basically like only flip it when you're actually in the air and not in a corner in a way. They're going to have to be able to do that in some kind of way where they can like, where you can really have that like it would be like in Reflex sort of whip system, but still keep your turn both your thumbsticks the same way to do a turn in a corner. You know how like basically when you have your default steering settings, right, where you turn one thumbstick one way, one thumbstick the other way to throw a whip over a jump in the Milestone games, but then in the corners, you're turning both your thumbsticks the same direction to turn normally, right? That's, but some people corner in this game with the opposite direction crap, which I don't even think it's really meant for that, but I don't know. That's really bizarre. I think what it's doing is, see, you can corner like both your thumbsticks the opposite direction, but what happens is, see, that's not really how you're supposed to corner. That's more so you're just throwing yourself into the scrub whip animation. That's all you're really doing. But so basically what I'm getting at here is they need where you can basically still have the same sort of steering like you would default when you're on the ground, but then have it to where turning both your thumbsticks the same direction whips you like it would turning them the opposite direction by default in the air. You understand what I'm saying? But not jack you in the corners. They still don't have that like that yet. So that can be a little confusing because, yeah, they do have an option to where you can change your thumbsticks around, but then it jacks you in the corners, so that's kind of pointless. See what I'm saying? Because then in the corners, you have to turn both your thumbsticks the opposite direction if you want to corner normally, which is weird as hell. Like, come on, Milestone. Motocross games are meant to be where your thumbstick, both the same direction to corner. That's like basically your rider leaning and turning that direction at the same time. Now, if you want to have it to where you could do like an oppo whip, kind of like you do an all out, where you lean the other way, then turn the other way, then you can have that, but not a standard whip. Like when you're throwing out a standard whip, you're leaning that direction and turning that direction, and then you sort of float your body off to the side after you're already in the air. There's got to be like, you almost roll it, like how in reflex, if you like come off a jump face and you just turn both your thumbsticks the same direction, totally, like one completely left and the other one completely left, it's not going to do exactly the kind of whip like you're thinking. You almost like roll it from the bottom to the side in a way on reflex. That's super fucking hard to explain that to somebody, but God, I don't even know how to explain it. But I can promise you it's not one thumbstick to the left and one to the complete right when you're whipping. It's just not like that at all, right? You've got to have more like everyone has come to know these motocross games. I've been saying it, but you ain't been really changing it. So, either way, but it still looks like this pretty much the same, just kind of tossing the back end out in that early gameplay of it. You know how the whips are. You don't really get up under the bike. You don't really, like, throw the ass end up in these milestone games when you're doing a whip. It just kind of slides it out. You know what I mean? There's really no way to get it too far up. And you don't really, like, pancake it either. You know what I mean? You just kind of toss the side out. And that's pretty much the extent of whipping in milestone games, which is really unfortunate because that's really only like one aspect of how you can whip in real life, right? Like there's so many different variations of the way you can whip and move and all of that. It just doesn't have the like roll effect whip, like where you get it up under the whip like in reflex, or you like toss it out in reflex, or kind of do an oppo whip like in reflex, or turn it all the way around backwards like you can in reflex. I mean, you can to a certain extent, but especially Supercross 2, it's hard to pull it back around. But I just really hope they can fix that. It's just so bizarre having a whip system that feels like you're just hitting a button and playing an animation. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like you're doing different kinds of whips at all, or you're throwing your own little personal style and flair to the whip. There's just none of that really. It's like, oh, how long did you hold the button down? Well, that's how far it tossed it out to the side. That's all. That's the full extent of the whips in milestone games. There's really nothing else to it, honestly. So hoping we can see some improvements to that, but it doesn't really look like it. I'm just telling you, kind of like the rest of the MXGP 2019 game, and I hope I'm totally wrong, but I'm just saying, from the looks of it, it don't look like it, boys. And really just think about the extent of how much they've really improved the whips from like the first Supercross game to Supercross or MXGP Pro to Supercross 2. There's really not that much of a difference. I mean, it's not that much of an improvement. Like, you understand what I'm saying? There's really not that much of a change there. So you can't just expect going from Supercross 2 to MXGP 2019, it's going to be like, oh my God, so amazing, new whips. No, it's not going to be like that at all. I mean, I hate to, burst your little bubble or rain on your parade or whatever for MXGP 2019. I'm just being honest with you. Like, you better expect the lowest of the low, or it's not going to meet your expectations, basically. That's just the way it is with these milestone games, man. Cut your expectations in half, and then you'll be satisfied, right? That's the way she is. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it, but they've got the track record now of doing it over and over and over and over that way that now it's just like, it's so apparent, so in front of your face, like everybody just knows that now about Milestone. That's just how they are. That's just how coming out with 10,000 games a year is, It's like, man, it's just unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So either way, I just wanted to get on here and talk about that a little bit, the whip system and stuff. Hopefully they can give us that option to make it more like the reflex controls of whips and not jack up our cornering, and hopefully they can give a little bit more variation to the whips, not so much just a playing an animation, but we'll have to just wait and see, man. That's all we can do. So either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes. Oh, and by the way, Milestone, maybe, I don't know. Let me just throw a little crazy thing out there to you. I don't know. Maybe a little too insane for you to put into a game. I don't know. Maybe let us backflip. I don't know. It may be too crazy, or maybe let us do a 360 or something cool like that. You know, I don't know. It might be too crazy for you. Not saying like, you know, Superman seat grabs and the whole freestyle thing. Just let us fucking backflip. Let us front flip. Let us full motion and land it, not just, you know, sniper shoot us out of the stadium whenever we remotely get off kilter on the bike in the air. Like, let us actually rotate this puppy. You know what I'm saying? Come on now, Milestone. I know you can do it. I know you can handle it. You made way too much money off of our ass for not that good of a reason. So, I know you got the money for it. Just do it. Just do it. You know, all your TLC should be put into these things I've been talking about, man. All your time, all your efforts should be put into that kind of stuff. But it just doesn't really seem like Milestone cares so much about those things. You know, on-track design, inside ruts, whip physics, in-air physics, huge jump design stuff. They just don't care as much about that. It's really bizarre. But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.